which we have every fortnight. Uh, I will just give a quick introduction of ISTD. Indian Society of Training and Development is a non-profit organization registered under the Societies Act. It's 55 years old organization, headquartered in Delhi. We have, as on date, 55 chapters spread pan-India. And one of our flagship program is, earlier it was called Diploma in Training and Development. Now it has been termed as Postgraduate Program in Learning and Development. So we, at the national level, there are various programs are conducted on the topics of L&D, and plus each chapters, they always keep on conducting various chapters for the benefit of the members. So this evening series is open to all, not necessarily for the members. So today's topic is Beyond Prompting, Architecting Learning with AI. We will explore how AI supports the role of training professionals. We will learn the difference between random prompting and structured prompt design. Compare tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude for common L&D tasks, and discover how simple customization and vibe coding can help us building tools and activities faster. Most importantly, this session will help us to shift our focus from content creation to learning experience design. So even for me also, many of these things are new. I have heard of it, but not fully into it. And really, we are looking forward for this session. And for this session, we are thankful to Smita Shinde, who is joining us from San Francisco. So, Smita, welcome to ISTD's evening session. I will give you a brief about Smita. She is a tech product evangelist, learning experience designer, and creative strategist with over 18 years of experience. She has led global product implementation and enterprise learning initiatives supporting organizations like Google, Apple, IBM, Cognizant, Ziva. With deep expertise in scenario-based learning, gamification, and AI-enabled learning design, she helps professionals move beyond content creation to impactful learning experiences. She is also a founding member of EduTurn in India and US, focusing on building scalable and inclusive learning solutions. Currently, Smita is developing her own learning framework and publication focused on designing learning experiences that are not just informative but transformational, practical, and measurable. So with this introduction, I will request Smita Shinde to take over and just take us through this topic and enlighten us. Over to you, Smita.
Sure. Thank you so much. I hope everybody is able to hear me, and it is my pleasure always uh, to to speak at a platform like this. So thank you so much, uh, the entire ISTD team, for giving me this opportunity to share my experience. Now, um, uh, very clearly, I want to call out at the beginning of the session, I am no expert because I feel the moment I add expert behind anything, I automatically close my doors uh, for any learning I can have in future. I'm just a practitioner. And in today's webinar, I'm going to share whatever little I have learned in my career as a learning experience designer. So, hello, my name is Smita Shinde. I work in tech every single day, and I'm so proud of it that I happen to get into the industry. Uh, I work not just as a consultant or a designer, but as someone who's deeply embedded in building, testing, mainly failing, refining, and rebuilding learning system. Um, as a working professional in L&D, one of my job is to also work with startups. And each year, I generally have a bandwidth of working with 3 startups either here in Bay Area or across locations. I've worked with startups in Ukraine, Spain, um, Europe, India, and I help align the product with what with the future of edtech. And as Uday mentioned, I'm a founding member of two startups, EduTurn in India, and specifically, I would like to talk about EduTurn because this is very close to my heart. And EduTurn that we run in India, and where we say that we're running a social experiment of bridging the gaps, the opportunity gap, and create by creating an equitable opportunities. At EduTurn, we work with individuals from smaller regions of India, regions where opportunities are not that accessible. So I work with these individuals, train them on some premium skills, give them industry exposure, have them work on global projects. So I remember when they start, the first thing that we have to teach them is how do they start, how they turn on their computer. And from there, they become programmers, graphic designers, animators, instructional designers. And they have also created e-learning courses for global audiences along with me. The goal for this initiative is to provide access, and most importantly, provide access to dignity and global work, and of course, confidence. I truly believe that structured mentorship, uh, thinking about not getting caught in fluff and noise, and thinking about basic stuff, real world problems, can rise regardless of any geographical locations or barrier. And then my next startup is Genio, which is here in LLC, where we work with organizations, design scalable strategic learning systems. So thank you so much for joining this webinar. And yeah, I would like to. The objective is to connect with people, talk more about how we can create more equitable opportunities across the globe. So, yes, give me an opportunity to put forward my thought and connect with you and learn from you. So, my biggest takeaway from all these years of experience in EdTech. And yes, I had all the phases in EdTech. So I got carried away with a lot of content and a lot of information, to tools, to technology. But then I feel that I have reached at a stage in my career where I feel more settled with what I want to do. The biggest learning and takeaway that I have learned in my career is that equality does not happen by accident. It is by design. Equality happens when we intentionally design learning that considers access, content, language, infrastructure, culture, and capabilities. So we don't design assuming only a part of the world. We design solutions. And I think that's a success of I mean, that has been a very successful approach for me. And I think every learning professionals who want to get into the industry, if they start thinking about not them as a learning professional, but have designed more learner-centric trainings, like who are my learners? What are their limitations? How are they going to best learn um, uh, the trainings I design? Technology, innovations comes second. Intelligent design also means we think beyond tools. So, starting 2026, I have been on a mission and promoting everywhere that don't get caught in tools war. Tools will come, they will go, there will be new features that will be aligned. So don't get caught in tools. Get caught with your principles. Get caught with your strategies. So stop sweating over tools. Instead, we think about who is included. We think about who's included, who's excluded, and what assumptions are making when we are designing training. So I know this is my uh, Just give me 1 minute. I know this is um, a poll, and I'm not very sure if you as learners are able to answer these polls. But you can always write down your responses in the chat. And thank you so much, Madhuri, for looking at that part of the section for me because my screen is on screen share. You would also notice that I keep shifting the other side because I see all you guys on my second screen. So that does not mean I'm not paying attention or I'm looking away from you. I'm just looking at the second screen on my second screen. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So
So
before we start, yeah,
Smita has shown some slide over here, and there are some options. What you have to do is in the chat, you can just write where you are, like, what is your primary connection with learning? So basically your profile. So you all can start typing in chat while Smita continues. Please
yes,
start typing. The
correct,
participants, you all can just tell where you belong in this spectrum.
correct. This will help me connect with you, understand you better, uh, come up with better solutions from purely from my experiences, and at the same time I get to learn a lot uh, from people, and I have been learning all my life from people. So yes, just type your responses. Tell me where we are. Now, while we're doing that, there is one important announcement I would like to make. Because this session, and I know it's Friday evening, it's Friday early morning for me. Right now, it's like 6:45, 6:48 a.m. because I live around San Francisco, in California. So I know that being Friday evening, I'm not expecting you to be in front of computer, but then if you have logged in from computer, I'm going to throw a lot of ideas, and I want you to actually go back to any of the tool that you're using and see how it works in your tool. That's an independent activity that you can carry out. And if you have not signed in using your computer, take this opportunity to go back and sign in because on the next slide, while everything is important here, we still have some time to talk about AI. Because I will ask you to just go back to your chat and type this response and see what kind of responses you get from whichever chat tool or that you're using. I'm not going to pinpoint any chat tool, any AI tool, but for the sake of this webinar, I am going to reference three biggest tools. One is ChatGPT, one is Gemini, and the third one is Claude. So I know there is a lot of discussion in the industry around these tools, and of course there's Copilot too, but I don't have enough bandwidth in this 1 hour webinar to talk about it. But yeah, we will keep referencing them. But then more or less, like I said, don't get caught in tools. It's just your strategy that matters. So next slide is very, very close to me. And I keep in bringing this everywhere, wherever I talk, or every time I get an opportunity to address people, I keep talking about it. So there are some realities that we should be aware of before we actually talk about AI. While part of my world, and like I said, I live in San Francisco, in Silicon Valley, in Bay Area, where it's a hub. People keep talking about what's new, what's old, what's going to work, what's not going to work. But then I feel that while part of my world is talking about all the tools, technology, LMS platform, whether we need to have a gamified learning, micro learning, interactive videos. And now the latest one is, latest hot topic is AI. But before we do that, let's pause for a moment. There is another truth to the world. And uh, while whatever we say and whatever we discuss is true, there is something that keeps bothering me. And let's look at what is that. 2.6 billion people That is, 1/3 of the global population are still offline. And the data has been pulled from International Telecom Union. So that's a very large number. So 1/3 of the global population is still offline. 730 million people worldwide still lack access to electricity, and this is as of 2024. The only progress we made from 2023 was about 11 millions, I guess. So there are 730 million people across the world who still don't have electricity or access to electricity as of 2024. Uh, the latest UNICEF report, I think, report in 2024, 2/3 of school-age children, they don't have internet at home. Nearly one in 4 primary schools lack basic infrastructure like power, water, or sanitization. And this will also be a part, and these people will be part of our future workforce. So we are not talking about high-speed Wi-Fi or fancy devices or even computer labs. One in 4 primary schools, they lack basic facilities like toilet. Uh, COVID was an eye-opener. The UNESCO report mentions that about 463 million students globally could not access remote learning during school closure, largely due to lack of connectivity, lack of devices, and we are just scratching the surface here. Technology, when used responsibly alone with human intelligence, can help us find solutions to these bigger problems that exist in the world. So I look at AI uh, and human intelligence to come up with innovations that are going to address these problems for future. Because the more we get caught in the noise, the more divide we are creating in the world. There will be lack of opportunities. There will be lack of education. There would be a huge bridge um, between between two worlds. So what is the purpose of this presentation? Sometimes the most innovative solution isn't technology, isn't AI. It is maybe offline design, low bandwidth content, SMS and WhatsApp learning, printable resources, teacher-led blended models. As learning designers, we don't just design for what is possible. We design for what is realistic. AI just helps me accelerate my thinking in that direction. So, uh, with this 1 hour, this is my little effort to voice out these concerns that exist in the world. We don't design content, we design experience. We design learning architecture. This presentation is my little effort to promote this shift in our mindset. Instead of running behind tools, focus on how learners actually learn. Now, back to AI. I know that was a little digressing from what we had planned on discussing, but then I also feel it is equally important as a learning experience designer and as someone who, as a group of individuals who are responsible for designing future. Learning is the future. Education, being from India, uh, we both know how important education is for us. So I thought it was important to raise out some concerns to a very intelligent and responsible group of individuals. Now back to AI. Everyone that generally I talk to these days. They talk about, hey, Smita, what tool are you using? Have you tried Gemini? Have you tried Claude? Gemini is improving. ChatGPT was the past, but then have you seen what kind of responses Gemini gives? Well, to all of them, I just have to say one thing. It is never about tool, and we will explore all of that in our webinar today. Everyone is talking about prompt engineering. I want to talk about learning engineering as a learning experience designer. Remember, AI, and I keep going back to basics. AI is not the brain. We are the brain behind AI. Though I'm not an AI expert, I am just a human being and a practitioner in the industry. So, what exactly is AI? AI stands for artificial intelligence, which means it does not have its own intelligence. It learns from human intelligence, and it learns from you, I, or anybody and everybody who are using the tool. So, in order to make sure that the technology works for us in future, we need to be sensitive about what information we are feeding into an AI tool. I mean, of course, the AI tool was not designed to uh, upload your baby pictures and creating trendy dance videos that you could upload on Instagram or to edit a photograph uh, 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 to post on your LinkedIn. It was uh, built to help humans solve some real problems that exist in the world. So you and I together uh, are responsible for all these problems that we have, and you and I have bigger responsibility to think in the direction where we could at least contribute like our drop into into thinking with the right mindset and being more responsible when we're using AI. I say this all the time. Don't get caught in the noise. Don't get caught in the tool. What all we say is, there are 10 tools in the market. Who does videos? Who does voiceover? Which tool does what? Uh, and this is the big one. I have heard, like every time I talk about AI, I hear this question. Oh, is it Gen AI or agentic AI? Well, let me tell you a truth here. Gen AI, agentic AI, they are just classification. And the classification of how the AI model uses the models that AI use. That's never going to help you make the best use of AI. There and let me break the truth here. They're more than these two classifications. People keep talking about Gen AI or agentic AI because that is what we have made popular. But there are many classifications like this. For example, there is predictive AI or prescriptive AI. So all of these are just classification. The key for your success in using AI is not to know what is Gen AI, what is prompt engineering, what is agentic AI, but the key is how you train your AI. Now, think about it like this. For a moment, think that AI is not a tool or technology, but just another intern that you hire in your company. What is the first thing that you do with the intern? You can type your responses in your chat, okay? Uh, and I would be really interested in knowing uh, your responses to that. So, the key to successful implementation of any AI is how you train your AI. So, let's take a moment, and this is again a poll. So, let's take a moment, and I would be really keen in understanding how you use your AI tool. What is your primary purpose? Is it speed and efficiency? Is it brainstorming and ideation? Is it research? and synthesis? Is it strategic design and architecture, or something else? It's to fire human employees in my organization. So whatever you feel, as of today, uh, how do you use your AI tool? What's your primary purpose? So yes, Marjorie would be looking at these responses. And I promised that I would want to show some demos, so I'm just moving on to the into the next topic.
So I'll just read out some of the answers, Smita, so that you get a
Sure.
clue. So some of the answers are to create solutions in operations. Then
Okay.
one option is 1 and 3, a combination of all of these, train him or her
Okay.
daily tasks to be done. Then
Okay.
there is 1 and 2. Mr. Shrikant Desai says 1 and 2.
Okay.
Himlata Bhaktani says 1. Then Dr.
Okay.
Yogesh Kumar Upadhyay says research and synthesis. So these are some of the answers.
Okay. All right.
Go
Cool.
ahead.
So, like I said earlier, I am no expert. I am just a practitioner. And today I'm going to talk about my AI usage and framework. So, before I start using any tool, I never start prompting. I start planning. It is something and this is something I have discovered over years. I mean, I have been working in product. I remember we were talking about when I was building product way back in 2014. That's when we were talking about um, uh, machine learning and adaptive prediction of the tool. Yes, at a very basic level, but since then, I've been really, really curious about what is happening in the world. So yes, through my experience, and I have discovered uh, some of the things, some of the practices which I feel are very logical and very practical. In the interest of time, and there are zillions and billions of tools, AI tools in the world. In fact, in the Bay Area, when you go to any startup meeting, or when you're looking for investors, or when you're even trying to sell any solution, the first question you get asked is there some bit of AI in it? Just put AI in it and it will sell. So yes, there are every tool that is getting built here. Every startup wants to uh, be a part of the race. So we have billions of tools, but in the interest of time, we will keep our discussion around three popular tools, and it is no secret. We are going to keep referencing. This is not a tools training. I'm completely against tools training. This is human training. But I'm going to keep referencing tools like ChatGPT, three tools, ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude. But before we do that, let's pause for a moment. Uh, every time you start using any new tool, you don't jump on the tool and start prompting. Okay. The first step for successful implementation of or successful collaboration, like I said, with any tool is start with planning. And the first on my list is safety and privacy. I feel really worried when I see people uploading baby pictures on social media platforms, giving PII information to tools. So PII stands for personal information, like your phone number, your address. Um, while I agree that in today's digital world, your data is not completely private. So the moment you have account on Facebook, or you're on LinkedIn, or you start using ChatGPT, whether free or paid version, yes, your data is exposed. So it's not private. I get that, and I'm okay with it. But As a user, I have rights to plan and decide what data to share, especially when it's not my data. For example, if I'm uploading a baby picture on ChatGPT just to create um, a flyer, I am exposing the data of my kid to the world without even taking consent. So I understand that your data is not completely private. I get that, but you always have the rights to plan and decide what data to share. In the chat window, think about your personal information that you don't want to share or make public. Okay, so what are certain things that you don't want to make it public? For me, of course, you can include things like bank account number or or my personal phone number. So think about things that you don't want to make public. You can type your responses. And the reason why I focus on um, doing internalizing certain things and doing deep dive and deep thinking is because that way we are prepared to minimize the risk uh, and help us come up with a personal guideline or a personal rule book for ourselves, whether on a personal level or at an organizational level. So I keep asking personal question because it's easier for us to relate with personal information. But then when you start from you can think on a larger level. Like, if I have a guideline as to what are certain things I don't share, I don't share to ChatGPT uh, uh, about myself, what are certain guidelines I can follow at an organization level? So yes, keep typing your responses and I'll move to the next slide. So here are my best practices. Okay. So before you use any tool, you can use Copilot or ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, um, or whichever tool. First things first, let's talk about let's look at the settings. Okay, what does my settings say? Now, if you, and we will look at how these models learn, but then there are two screenshots that I have here. One is, can someone tell me what these privacy settings, what tools I have used to take a screenshot of the privacy settings? The first one, just type answer. I mean, any which way is going to tell you. And the second one. Okay. So in the digital world, whenever you use any tool, it is important that before you start experimenting on the tool, take a moment to look at the settings, the privacy settings. So the first screenshot is from ChatGPT, and the second one is from Claude. Now you see that when you go to data control, there are so many options here. It is important that before we share critical information with these tools, you need to ask yourself, hey, what are the settings? What is the information I'm setting? I'm sharing with the tool. Is there an option to minimize my risks online? Well, let's talk about ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, since I promised that I will just stick to these three tools. There is no way your data is not exposed. Um, yes, people have access to your data. They use the data to train the model. They see how people interact with the tools, and they use this data to train your models. You always have a choice of turning that off. So if in ChatGPT I say improve the model for everyone, I can turn that off. Um, in Claude and even in Gemini, you have more or less a similar option. Help improve Claude, you could just turn that off. But if you're okay to use your data to train the model. You could just, I mean, that's not a big deal. It is completely, it's your personal preference. So if you feel that you are using the tool in like the Einstein way, if I was using, if I was an expert and I know every in and out of what I'm doing, I would definitely want my behavior to train the model. But again, it's personal preference. Then in ChatGPT, there's some interesting thing. Do you know you can export your data? Now, okay, before I go there, what happens when you turn this off? Even when you turn this off, people, the internal team, I mean, of course, uh, I try to ask ChatGPT these questions, but they do have access to your data for 30 days. Again, things can change. It's just based on my last information about the tool. Uh, but then there are some best practices. So, for example, don't use your any AI tool to as a place where you store information. Always, if you feel that your conversation is important, you can always export the data. Delete all chats whenever possible. That is an option to delete all chats. Uh, export your data. Okay, you decide what information. How are you going to manage your information? Because and I'll tell you why this is important. Because if you have a very unorganized uh, AI instance, you are only going to confuse the poor guy. Imagine, like I said, your AI tool is just like the intern that has just joined your organization. You keep giving information to the tool, eventually it's going to learn from that information. And if there's too much of information, it's just going to get confused. So, yes, just spend some time looking at the settings just to make sure that the whichever tool you use, the tool works um, as per your uh, your need, what you wanted. So yes, let's quickly move because I am really keen on showing some of the demos. Now, some of the best practices. What problem I'm trying to solve, whether it's personal or it's work related. Now, the reason why this question is really important is because let's say you are using ChatGPT to ask for work, for personal things. I am, and it is very sad that people are also giving out really, really personal information and typing in very personal information about people, about themselves in the chat GPT. While there is no harm in doing that if you feel that that's helping you, but it is important to bifurcate that. Any information that you don't want the your AI tool to use to train itself. Like let's say I have I want to ask ChatGPT about a personal relationship issue I'm facing, but I don't want my ChatGPT to remember that and use that information to come up with responses. I always have to use, I mean, it's best practice to use temporary chat window or so Gemini and ChatGPT has a temporary chat option, whereas Claude calls it as incognito mode. So what happens in an incognito mode is whenever you use something in an incognito mode or whenever you're having conversation with your AI tool in a temporary mode, it's not going to remember that information to train itself, which means if it's not going to store that information and modify its behavior to train itself. So so it's important to bifurcate that whether it's a personal or work related. Use BF, use Skinner's reward and punishment technique. This is so big in training, and I don't understand why don't we use that to train a model? I mean, I just gave it a thought some time ago, and I have a very heart-to-heart conversation with ChatGPT a couple of days ago that can I use a reward and punishment technique with you? And I came up with my reward and punishment technique for training my GPT. So I said, hey, you know what? If I like your responses, I'm going to give you a star. if I am, if I don't like your responses, I am going to give you a time off. Okay. So I came up with an entire document of how I'm going to use reward and punishment technique to train my AI model. Now remember how these AI models are getting trained. So there are two things on which the AI models train itself. One is based on the history or the conversation you're having uh, with the tool, and second is it it has features. So for example, for ChatGPT, we have something called as memory. For Gemini, there is something called as gems, and for Claude, there is something called as skills. So you can customize the behavior of your tool uh, by uh, by putting inputs on your memory, by designing skills, by designing gems in Gemini. And the other part is history. So let me just, in the interest of time, I will just stick to ChatGPT here. So the way ChatGPT learns from the history is when you are having conversation with ChatGPT, it picks up words from the conversation. So for example, if I am writing a script and I use the word remember, okay, it's going to remember that information. For example, I hate when people use emojis and icons in a text. And that's again my personal preference. I find it very distracting to see so many icons and images. I personally never use M dashes and N dashes in my writing because I don't have it easily available on my keyboard. So whenever I'm inputting data in my ChatGPT, if I say, remember, I hate this, it's going to adapt that behavior and modify the behavior based on what input you have given. Now, one big concern that a lot of people have with ChatGPT, and I think it is important to call this out because a lot of people don't know about it, is that AI tools hallucinate, which means not every information that the AI tool is providing you is going to be a correct information. It will find if there is a missing piece, it will try to hallucinate and come up with this information. It is on we humans to decide whether that information is an actual information or a hallucinated information. If I identify that AI has hallucinated that information or came up with that information which was just made up. I mean, just last week, I wanted to write something and I'm extremely uncomfortable writing about what were my achievements and this and that. And for some reason, I had to put that. I just uh, told ChatGPT, "Hey, this is the thing I want to focus on. Can you just quickly put my draft based on how you know me?" It came up with real facts and numbers, and I got really upset. I asked ChatGPT, why are you lying to me? And this is the kind of conversation I have. Why are you lying to me? From where did you get this information? The response was, I made up because this information was missing. Now, what should you do as a responsible architect? You should let the ChatGPT know that I did not like this behavior. I would not appreciate if you ever lie to me or come up with this information. Please don't do this again, and your AI tool is going to remember your responses. So, yes, when you are working with any AI tool, use reward and punishment technique. Find out what kind of feedback I want to give it to the AI tool. For example, if I use ChatGPT mainly for writing, like I do multiple jobs, I do multiple things. I use ChatGPT, I use any AI tool for multiple things. One is, of course, sometimes my work, sometimes to do my research. And I truly love uh, Notebook LM because it helps me read research paper, compare research paper, which used to probably take months for me to analyze and come up with some statistic. It helps me compare data. And I also write a lot of white papers. So yes, if you are using your AI tool for writing, the first thing you should train the AI tool is give your writing samples. You say, okay, if you're using Claude, okay, you know what? I want you to start writing like me. These are some of my writing samples. This is what I like. I like a warm tone. I don't like a lot of pretty or made up conversations. I don't like beating around the bush. I'm very direct with my writing. So you upload some of the writing samples and say, you know what? Based on my writing samples, you train yourself to write like me with me and have a very, very genuine conversation with your tool that how do you want to work and train your model. Um, but before that, before you even start using, ask yourself what data am I inputting? Am I allowed to input that data? Does this data belong to me? Have I signed if I'm working it for work as training professionals, we work with a lot of organization. So we say, did we sign an NDA when we decided to work on this? And then the best part is if you know what, let's say you have signed an NDA and you don't want specific details for any of your AI tool to remember, you come up with a strategy. You don't start prompting, you come up with a strategy. And that's what I meant when I said planning. So plan it. So before you start working on your uh, project, and by the way, there's something called as projects also, which is in ChatGPT, but I really can't cover everything in this one webinar. But so feel free to connect with me and have like a one-to-one conversation of how I use these tools in my in my practice. So yes, and the best part that I have learned over years is if you're confused, ask your chat GPT. Hey, want to work with you on a specific content, but I am tied by an NDA. There are some very confidential data that are there in some of the documents. So, what strategy you recommend so that we have minimum exposure? We do not leak out the data. And trust me, any tool you're using is going to draft the strategy. For example, a couple of weeks ago, I was working on some very, very confidential data, but there was a need to actually use ChatGPT to analyze like a 600-page document. So I asked ChatGPT, hey, you know what? I want to work with you. I need your assistance. So you human are more like your ChatGPT's or your AI tools a manager. I want to work with you, but here's my problem. I'm working with the data which is confidential. So, and this is something that I want. I don't want to expose information of the client. Don't want to expose certain things. So how do I work with you? And trust me, it gave me a working model where it said, remove all the names, remove all the critical information, replace it with something different. Give me information in chunks. Don't upload whole document. And it gave me a strategy to actually minimize risk with my data. Now, this is the big one. Start with a end goal in mind. So before you work with any tool, find out what is that you want to achieve with your practice or with your interaction with the tool, what you want to achieve. Now, once you know what you want to achieve, write that document. I mean, I know everybody keeps talking about prompt engineering, but it is not as complex as that. It's very basic. First, find out what is the goal in your mind. What do you want to achieve? Now, when you do that, list down risks you will encounter. That when I'm doing that, what can go wrong? And before you start working on the project, build a strategy along with your AI tool. Hey, you know what? I'm going to work on this project. This is my end goal. And I also identify that these are my risks. Let's work together and give the information one by one. Okay. These are the risks. How do I mitigate that risk while I'm working with you? And it will give you um, the solution. And here's the fun part. When in doubt, ask the tool itself. For example, just last week, I had a very fun conversation, early morning conversation with ChatGPT. I started with the prompt, "Are you lying to me?" Okay. And the answer was, "No, I don't intend to lie, but sometimes I can be wrong." But from that entire 15-minute conversation that I had with ChatGPT, I realized that, I trained my model to uh, I said, okay, I understand your limitations. You sometimes can give me information which can be an incorrect information. But at least can you tell me whenever you are making up information or giving me information which does not have any baseline? Because I write a lot of research papers, I write a lot of white papers, and I don't want to base my writing on hallucination. So the ChatGPT said, "Hey, you know what I can do whenever I pick up any information or give you certain things, I will pick up I will give you the source from where I found this information, and you decide. I will call out very specifically that this was a made up information." And it was so helpful. After that, when I said, "Yes, remember this information. Every time you're giving me information which you have made it up, just let me know. And I will, as a human who has higher intelligence than you, I will decide how to tweak that information." So again, we have discussed this earlier, how AI tool learns. There are two things. One is, of course, based on your history, and then it has a feature. For example, ChatGPT has memory, Claude has skills, and Gemini has gems. Then there is also something called as modes. Okay, and I think the last and whenever you have question, go ask your AI tool, what does this mean? So, and then we also have something called as modes, uh, other than these memories, which means I want ChatGPT to behave with me in certain way. There are some 11 or 12 predefined modes, but I generally create my own modes. So, for example, uh, I want to work on a sales pitch. I know a little bit about um, how I'm going to I know a little bit about my audience. I want to make sure that I get enough practice so I'm prepared when I'm positioning myself to my stakeholders or my management, and I'm promoting an idea. So I tell ChatGPT, "Hey, let me design a mode for you. When for this particular interaction that we have, be very critical. Don't agree with me. Find, uh, find every loophole where you could disagree with me. Here is the basic information about my stakeholder without giving names. What are some of their behavioral traits?" And then say, "You know what, based on that, be very critical with me. Come up with, the moment I propose something, you come up with an argument so that I know how to interact with you." So there are multiple modes. There is a research mode. There used to be a love mode at one point, which the job of that mode was to just make you feel really, really good. So imagine whatever ChatGPT or any AI tool is coming up with is influenced by the in ChatGPT's case, it's going to be history and memory and the mode it is in. So if you set the mode to disagree with you, it is not going to give you like be very nice with you. It's going to give you very critical feedback about your writing, about your idea. It's going to be very, very critical. So spend time in designing your modes, how you want to, and then you can always customize. You can always have it saved in either skill, gems, or as memory. And then every time you have a conversation, you could just say, hey, you know what? Uh, use this mode. Now here you see a small screenshot, which is like a temporary chat in chat GPT, and there is a small icon here on like extreme top right corner where you can enable temporary chat. If you're just interacting with ChatGPT on one-off basis, you can use temporary chat, and the same place there is an incognito icon for Claude. So yes, if one-off chat, just go to incognito mode. Now, yes, the role of AI is to understand what is your role, what should be your go-to approach. Don't get caught in the fluff. People will talk about Gen AI, agentic AI, prompt engineering, blah, 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 blah. But trust me, just understand the basics. Okay? Develop your own guidelines. Train with intention. Maintain and keep it clean. By maintaining and keep it clean, I mean, and if you guys have your computer in front of you, just go back and type in your any AI tool that you're using and ask things like, what do you know about me? It'll give you a list of things you know about me. You can always go back and say, hey, forget this information, and it will forget it for you. So you should, once in a while, go back to your tool and ask questions like, what do you remember about me? What are certain things that you know about my job? And then evaluate that and find out what is that you can uh, remember and you can forget. Train your model or train your tool on what information you can remember and what you can forget. And finally, this is the demo, okay? Um, uh, and we are now going to take a lot of time. I'm just going to wrap up my session in like 2 minutes because I want to give time for Q&A. So here is a quick demo, and for a minute, let me see. Let me see if I have it typed. I'm going to switch to my tool, and in this case, I'm going to use ChatGPT and just write this prompt. Okay. Let me go to ChatGPT and share my screen again. Okay. So here we are in ChatGPT, and you see there is a temporary chat here. So I am just, before I start working, I know my problem. I am interacting with ChatGPT, and let me just go to temporary mode here. So the moment I put it on temporary mode, it's not going to remember. So before I start working on my main project, I want to have some questions to ChatGPT. I said, I have a question. I'm planning to implement a learning management system, LMS, for my organization. Would it be possible for me to first share my requirement with you and then upload approximately 10 vendor proposals for evaluation? Before you begin the analysis, please ask any clarifying questions needed to ensure you fully understand my requirement and evaluation criteria. I would like you to compare each proposal against my requirement, create a comparison chart. Like I want output is I want a comparison chart, outline the pros and cons of each vendor proposal I have received, and provide your overall recommendation. Is this something that you can help with? You see my approach. I am not asking ChatGPT to give me this information. I am building a strategy. Let me hit and see what ChatGPT says. Yes, I can absolutely help. And then it is coming up with
Smita,
time. Yes,
sorry, I am interrupting. We have one question from Hemlata. Can you just
sure,
show people how to enable temporary chat?
sure. So again, Hemlata, thank you for asking this question. But every time you have a question, you could just ask ChatGPT. Uh, how do I enable temporary chat? But you see, okay, let me just, you see here, let me just, do you see my mouse on screen? If you open ChatGPT right on top, let me just use annotation. You see here, the option will come here. Is that clear? And whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's Claude, whether it's Gemini, um, your option will be somewhere here. It's just an icon. Okay. So uh, you see here, it says clarify your requirements first. Review each vendor proposal. So it says once you share your material, I can do these things. While you can upload, okay. Now it has given me a lot of option. I say, no, this is not what I want. I want you to ask me questions first, one by one. Okay. So you trained your instance on how you want to work. You see how it has automatically switched it? What type of organization are you implementing? So it'll keep asking questions. You can, based on, how you want it to operate. Now, last time when I was doing this, before asking question, it just said, "Hey, okay, can I suggest you something now?" I said, "You know what? Never do this with me again. I don't want you to come up with solution based on your assumption. I want you to first ask me question." And this is the same approach I use for writing a design document. If I ever decide to use any AI tool, like I first do prep. Like you remember, as Indians, we are big on cooking. So you don't turn up the gas and then decide what you want to cook. You first do preparation. And if you are meat eater, you also marinate your chicken. The same thing you do it with any of your AI tool. You prep your system first. Once you feel that your system is prepped, in Claude, you can export that. You can work with Claude and you could say, now come up with a skills document and make this as a skill if it's going to be a reusable skill that you want to work with. But it is important that you prep. Now, keep talking to your instance till you feel that you are well prepared and you have a very, very solid takeaway and a strategy and a plan. And only then you start working with your AI tool based on your prep activity. Okay. So then in the end, you could say, now remember this when I'm working on that, and or you could say, let's now start working on evaluating our learning management system. And then it'll ask question, what are some of your biggest challenges? If you feel that there are certain questions that ChatGPT has not asked you, you can input that question. Hey, you did not ask me about what are my biggest challenges in my organization, or what are some risks I have. So yes, it will ask you those questions when you start working on it. Now let me go back, stop my um chat instance, go back to the presentation, share my screen again, and I'm just wrapping up now. Okay. Uh, Go to the presenter mode. Okay. Oops. All right. So I'm sorry for this. Okay. But let's do the final takeaway. So, what is that um, we take away with this session? The future of learning will not be decided by tools. It will be decided by humans who are architects or who architect them. So, and a final closing thought, don't get caught in the noise. There will be hundreds of tools that will come and it will go. Tools will change. Uh, Trust me, I live in Bay Area. Every week there is a new tool in the market, a new model, a new feature, a new trend. Today people are talking about Gen AI and agentic AI. Tomorrow they will talk about something else. But if you are not careful, you will be just caught in the fluff, in the noise. The real shift is not the tool. The real deal is not how many tools are you using. The real deal is how we think. How are we using our tools? So AI is not intelligent on its own. It reflects the patterns, structure, judgment, and intent that we bring to to our tool. The AI is only good as how you train your tool. And training, it does not begin with a prompt. It begins with clarity, with structure, with ethics, and um, uh, and by training, by asking, by customizing your model to work with you according to your needs. Because so don't get distracted by noise, strengthen your fundamentals, design with intention, and train your AI with wisdom and not to just generate some images. Because the future of learning is not decided by tools. It will be decided by humans. And AI at no given point is going to replace human intelligence. It's only going to amplify and expedite the intelligence process. Thank you so much for listening to me. I would love if you could connect with me on LinkedIn. I have a website. And today was just a brief session. Of course, I will work with ISTD to find out, but I'm really keen on talking more about it, because there are so many innovations that happen. We were talking about AR and VR uh, uh, a couple of years ago. The technology just died away purely because the people who were using that technology were not responsible enough. We just got caught with noise. We just, uh, you know, were just doing random things and then it will die away. So I am very keen on sharing my experience. So feel free to connect, okay? Feel free to reach out if you need more deep dive, and together we can learn from each other's experience. Thank you, Madhuri. You can uh, continue. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. And Madhuri, you can continue with the session.
Thanks, Smita. I can understand the session was, there's a lot of deep dive into it. But what Smita has given is a brief. She tried to touch upon everything, primarily because Smita and I have a lot of conversations. And even when I started using ChatGPT at the end of 2022, a lot of prompting and everything was happening. And then eventually you realize what is the risk that we are going into. And that's how, Smita focused a lot on human intelligence, also how we can come up with frameworks. Like I know, because I know Smita, so I can tell. Like, let's say, for example, you have a specific idea about Bloom's taxonomy, okay? And you want that, and let's say you have structured Bloom's taxonomy for offline, for the traditional form, then for the online learning, and then for, let's say, its combination with AI. and you create that framework and you feed it in the ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, the way Smita said, how do you feed? So basically, their ChatGPT's mind works in memory. You feed through your suggestions, some examples which Smita gave, and you train that person. I'm saying person because it's actually like training a child. Hey, don't do this, don't do that. I didn't like that. So a lot of time people, I have seen in 2, 3 years, people drop a lot of big words, oh, prompt engineering, and they make a big deal out of it. But if we keep things really simple, and that's why, Smita tried to keep things very simple. It's like we have to think that you have a child and you have to train that child, You want to give some discipline to the child and you want the child to, you know, use its creativity and you want the child to, take its freedom to explore the world. If we keep our mindset that simple, that I have a child and I have to groom that child, and tomorrow that child will come and take over my business or has to run my business which I have set up. With that mindset, I think, Smita, that's why Smita kept it very, very simple and touched upon that. Second thing, I think, Smita touched upon a little on vibe coding. It again, but that's a deep dive topic. Smita has already opened, is already open for anybody who wants to get in touch with her. She can have a, deep conversation on that. So all the things that we're talking about, why not a lot of prompt engineering? So I have seen a lot of sessions where people go and start writing prompts, but prompt is a separate thing. Um, the main thing is entire document that you create and the questions that Smita gave. I'll not list down because I think we have the recording and you can go through it. The questions that you list, that Smita listed down, these are the questions. You have to answer those questions, prepare your document, and then go to ChatGPT for asking question rather than just starting with the prompt. Okay. So that is whether you are creating training material as a trainer, whether you are an instructional designer creating your e-learning, or whether you are, any HR professional or an L&D professional who wants to work with a vendor. Clarity is here, our mind. If we rely on ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, or any AI tool to give us clarity, it's going to hallucinate. It's going to take us everywhere. So first, we need to be very clear. Like, let's say, for example, vendor. Selecting a vendor is like selecting a partner. If you don't know what you want from the vendor, ChatGPT will not give you all the pointers, for selection and all. So that homework needs to be done. And who can do the homework? Only that person who has certain expertise. Okay. That is the point that Smita was trying to make. And hope, Smita, I have summarized whatever you wanted to say. Okay.
Yeah, just one thing, okay? Madhuri, ChatGPT is never going to take over your business. It's going to be some human, no matter how much ever you train it, it's going to be still some human who has to lead your
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah,
business.
yeah.
And
So when I say take over your business in the sense how you will train your child. I mean, I know when I started using ChatGPT in 2022, December 2022, I was pretty excited and I gave demo to my, team and all. And then I realized, no, if I can't let it take over me. So it's as good as you're training your child. And if we keep it that simple, I think we can do better with this. But other thing is, which Smita is trying to make a point is, you can use any AI tool in a better way only and only if you are the expert in your domain. So it's there's a very simple word like garbage in and garbage out, So if we are putting anything and everything, anything mediocre, we are going to get mediocre output. So yeah, we've just scratched the surface. And Smita, thank you for being here. I know it's pretty early your time, but but you were excited when we reached out to you and excited to talk to everyone, at least give an overview. So we are thankful on behalf of ISTD, on behalf of the entire committee member. We have Uday sir, who's our chairman. Then we have Sunil sir, Sunil Sanas, who's our vice chairman. Then Dr. Kavita Pandey, she is a secretary. On behalf of her, temporarily, I'm acting as a secretary because she has some emergency. And then there is Anita Menon. She couldn't attend today because she's our treasurer. So these are the office key post holders, and then we have other committee members. You already know Chetan Tupe sir. Then others are there. And sorry if I've missed out any name. Just in the interest of time, I'm saying something. And other thanks goes to our audience. I know all of you are working senior professionals. You took out time Friday evening to come for this learning series, and were part of this session. And also, your presence says you are yourself helping us to collaborate in knowledge sharing. So thank you for being a part of this series. Uday sir is there. Uday sir,
Yeah, yeah.
say something.
So yeah, Madhuri, you have concluded it very nicely, and I won't take much time. So thank you, Smita, for being with us all the way. Sat Samundar Par se, early morning in the US. Okay,
Yeah.
you are with us. If, ISTD is and all of the participants. We are really thankful to you for giving this good, very good insight on this topic of AI. Thank you very
Mhm.
much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah.
Have a great
Bye.
weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.